Welcome to the 2030 webinar series. This is the 9th installment, examining different BearBuy terminology. The agenda for today consists of going over what the session is about. We'll be going over different BearBuy terminology, specifically internal versus external attachments, supplier fulfillment versus remit to addresses, hosted versus PunchOut catalogs, line versus header, and active versus draft cart. We'll also be going over BearBuy resources and support. And then lastly, questions and answers. This session is intended for all users. It's only 30 minutes long, with the first 15 minutes going over BearBuy terminology, and the last 15 minutes dedicated to just questions and answers. Now let's get started. Let's first start with internal versus external attachments. Both internal and external attachments are visible in BearBuy to any BearBuy user with the appropriate viewing access. As a reminder, do not upload any document in BearBuy unless private information and the home and family data is blacked out and completely unreadable. Let's first start with internal attachments. The internal attachment section allows attachment of necessary supporting documents. Attachments in this section will not be sent to the supplier. So documents you should attach as internal documents are, for instance, the conflict of interest, a pre-hire worksheet, an insurance certificate, email approvals, and so on. As for external attachments, the external attachment section provides another location for adding supporting documents. Attachments in this section are distributed to the supplier via fax or email. So examples of documents you would attach as external documents may include a quote or estimate, a statement of work, and so on. So if you're attaching documents on a form, you'll see the internal and external sections on the form. Not all forms break out attachments as internal and external attachments. Internal and external attachments are also listed separately when you look at the requisition detail. So at the requisition level, you can still attach documents as either internal or external. The same rules apply in the sense that all external attachments will be sent to the supplier. Now let's look at fulfillment versus remit to addresses. A fulfillment address, also called an order address, is the supplier's specified address that will fulfill the order. Some suppliers have more than one fulfillment address. A shopper or requisition creator can edit the fulfillment address if more than one exists for a supplier. When processing transactions in BearBuy, shoppers and rec creators will be able to view and edit fulfillment addresses for a supplier. A remittance address is where payment for the supplier invoice is sent. Accounts payable, formerly known as disbursements, will select from the supplier's remittance addresses when creating the voucher to ensure that the payment is sent to the address listed on the supplier invoice. Only voucher preparers, in this case analysts at accounts payable, are able to view and edit the remittance addresses when entering the voucher. Now let's look at hosted versus PunchOut catalogs. Hosted catalog suppliers provide UC Berkeley with a price file. The file is then uploaded into BearBuy. These price files contain pictures, descriptions, and prices for all negotiated items the supplier carries. When users shop from the top, in other words, shopping from the search bar at the top of the Home Shop screen, they are searching hosted catalogs. PunchOut Catalog suppliers, on the other hand, create a UC Berkeley custom website containing all products at UC negotiated prices. To access a PunchOut, just click the supplier sticker and a new window will open. Any PunchOut catalog items will not display dollar amounts when shopping from the top. In other words, if you shop using the search bar at the top of the Home Shop screen, if any of the PunchOut catalog items are included in your search result, you only see the product name, description, and a link to the supplier's PunchOut catalog. Now let's go over the difference between submitting versus assigning a cart. When submitting a cart, users can click the Submit button when the requisition is ready for submission. The requisition will be sent to the appropriate next step based on the org node entered on the cart. Once the requisition is submitted, you can check the status at any time using the View My Orders link within the Shop menu icon. When assigning a cart, users can click the Assign button when the requisition needs to be seen and/or approved by another individual not on the official workflow. This includes budget officers, principal investigators, managers, budget managers, and so on. Individuals who receive these assigned carts are called cart authorizers. This requires no additional role. Any shopper can be assigned a cart. Cart authorizers can edit a cart before submitting it. Now let's go over the difference between header versus line. When the term header is used, it references information at the top level of the transaction. Information included in the header level will apply to each individual line as long as the line information is not altered. When the term line is used, it references information at the individual line level. Changing information at the line level only affects and applies to the line in question. Here's an example of an accounting code's header. The chartstring combination at the header level applies to the line level as well. The line level information is the same as the header, therefore whatever is at the header level applies to the individual lines. When the line level information differs from the header, you'll see the difference in information listed out at the individual line level. All other lines, if not changed, will still state same as header. In this example, my line 2 chartstring combination differs from the header. Now let's look at the difference between an active cart and a draft cart. Both active and draft carts are carts that have not been officially submitted into workflow. Once submitted, carts are then called requisitions. So an active cart is a cart you are currently adding items to and/or editing. BearBuy highlights the active cart so it's easier to identify the active cart versus the draft cart. You can select the new active cart by clicking the cart icon in this column. I'll show you what we mean by this in a little bit. A draft cart, on the other hand, is a cart you are not currently adding items to and/or editing. These are carts you created but have not yet submitted. you can have multiple draft carts at a time, but only one active cart. So when looking at your carts in BearBuy, you'll see the active cart highlighted in blue. In this case, this is cart 53726650. That's my active cart. And your draft carts highlighted in white. So in this case, it'll be cart number 53731610. That concludes the presentation portion of this 2030 webinar session. Hopefully, going over the difference in terminology has helped you better understand BearBuy. Now let's go over available BearBuy resources and support.